What's up? So, I wanted to do something a little fun today, and I'm going to be covering the power level of the three kings in Yu Yu Hakusho. And that comes down to quite a few hypotheticals, because we never actually got to see them fight pretty much at all. Now, I know in the anime things are a little different. Manga's canon source, that's what I'll be using. This is completely uncuffed because it's just supposed to be something that's a little fun. But I did do some scaling. I went through the numbers, made sure all the math was right. And it gets way more ridiculous than I would like to admit. Because, well, I guess you'll see. So, when we go through it, we know the three kings, of course, are the absolute, just the strongest people shown in the series. Well, I should say Raizen's friends do match them, but we also have things of like Prime Raizen. In this, I won't really be covering Prime Makuro because she's also at like fractions of her real power, but she would just be a number that's whatever amount below Prime Raizen, so it's whatever. I'll be sticking to Prime Raizen as the most hypothetical that I'll be doing. But we can see that, of course, we can see that Yusuke and Hiei at least, they get to like 200,000 power, like PL, whereas the actual power of the three kings get to approximately like 1.5 million PL, with Raizen coming out to about 1.3 million at the time. Now, why this is interesting is because they are massively above Yusuke and Hiei. In fact, Sensui, who is small planetary, they're crazily above him, right? And this is, of course, going off of feats. Very interesting stuff. Well, let's cover a few of the numbers real quick. So, based on just the full power of Yusuke and Hiei being at around like 200,000 PL, that would put Yomi at about 7.75 times stronger. Oh, actually, I should say, this will be, I will do two scalings. This will be me scaling on a base multiplier, as in, oh, they're 7.75 times stronger. Numerically, well, we're going to ignore the Yu Yu Hakusho scaling and just say, let's throw 7.75 times at that number. I will also be providing the proper Yu Yu Hakusho scaling that, again, has been proven many times over. I'll cover that as well. But that's where it gets really crazy. But with the biggest lowball that you could do, if Yomi is about 7.75 times stronger, that would put him at, AP-wise, approximately 65% of Saturn. So, large planetary. Hiei and Yusuke, large planetary. Yomi being this much stronger, large planetary. Because planets are big. Like, the variations of their sizes is just massive. This means Makuro, having slightly stronger PL, would be about 66% of Saturn, with Raizen coming out to about 55% of Saturn. So they're all large planetary, and yet none of them are even Saturn-sized in AP, which is large planetary. Prime Raizen, on the other hand, Yusuke goes on to say that, let's actually go over I'll show the scans kind of in order. So you'll see that Yusuke is like, I'm gonna go fight the old man again, and they're like, he almost killed you just a month ago, dog. What are you doing? So we know that Yusuke hadn't even been touching Raizen all this time, but it's been a month since then, and when he goes up to confront him, he's attacked by Raizen, and he's like, what is this crazy power? Followed by like, oh shoot, like this is all he's got. So we know it's still an insane amount of power, but it's still like his last standing leg. And Yusuke's like, what was that, like 1%, 2% of your original actual power? What's just insane about that, oh, actually, I should say, because he's like 1% or 2%, saying 2% later, I'll cover him being at 1% and 2%, which is very easy math, of course, a 50% difference, or two, however you want to do it. Prime Raizen at 1% is 32.5 Saturns, or 3.25% of the sun. So not even close to the, a sun now, which is about 99.8 something percent. Massive amount. It's almost the entirety of what would be a solar system in terms of mass. He's about 3.25% of the sun, about 32.5 Saturns. Prime Raizen, assuming what he felt off of his power level was about 2% of his original power, of course, is 16.27 Jupiters, or about 1.63% of the sun. That should give you an idea. They are all around 50 plus, about 60 plus percent of Saturn. Prime Raizen coming out to about 60 times that, a little more, and going into percentages of the sun in AP, in pure AP. That is just your base multiplier in scaling. Now, I didn't bother covering speed because at that point you're just like, oh, they're just so much faster than light. Holy crap, the YuYu Hakusho already was, proven to be massively faster than light. These people are just massively faster than light. What do you want me to tell you, right? They're very fast. I don't think, most times if you go in forums or things, these people aren't brought up in debates, which is ironic because you have these people who are just Enki's friends, or not Enki's, Raizen's friends, including Enki, all scale to Yomi. You have a multitude of people with different personalities and such that are just vastly above the main cast, and all that's ever debated is like, well, how far would Yusuke make it in this verse, or how far would Hiei or Kurama do, against these people? It's like, and they're always matched up against like the strongest people in the other verse, and it's like, oh man, YuYu Hakusho's got something for you, because the main cast is weak, actually, comparatively so. Not even close. Okay, so going into proper YuYu Hakusho scaling, such as what I've covered many times, and even percentage increases being vast increases in actual like attack potency and speed and such as Toguro going from like his 80% and getting beat up by cuffed Yusuke to, actually no, he tanks his spirit gun, that's right, cuffed Yusuke's spirit gun, tanks it, and then now Yusuke's punches can hurt him, and then he goes 100%, which was actually a 10% increase, as I've said before, can block it with his thumb and can yell out his new empowered spirit gun, just yell at, among all the other, that again is just the most crystal clear example of YuYu Hakusho scaling. Using that scaling, again with all of its proper feats supporting it, oh man, are you guys ready? Listen to this. This would put Yomi at around 2.6 quintillion suns, which is approximately 2.6 quintillion solar systems based on our solar system. So basically, what I want to say is this. This is getting ridiculous, and is another reason why I stick to low balls like the first numbers. But, again, this is actually legit YuYu Hakusho proven scaling. So, look, there is another big way to take this information. 2.6 quintillion solar systems, right? Ridiculous, right? Here's how you could take it, mathematically compared to what's shown. It could just simply be confirmation of some certain statements. So, for example, when Sensui was talking about destroying the Ningenkai, that's the actual word used, at 50% power, simply powering up. Look, Ningenkai was used to mean, like, the human realm. In which case, when you're talking about, like, oh, the human world, are you talking about human world as in, like, literally just Earth? Or, like, the humanly, like, realm, in which case, basically our universe, because you have, like, the spirit world. Well, the spirit world is actually its own realm, its own universe where all the dead go. You have the demon realm and yada yada, so on and so forth. There's different realms that would all be in the same way that human world is being used for Ningenkai. And so the lowball, the lowball take on Ningenkai here is just, oh, by world, we're talking about human planet. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. He could, in fact, have been threatening, like, the human realm, as in the human universe. Seems really crazy, but there is more. So, for example, Sensui goes on also to state that A-class demons, not S-class like himself, are like those of gods from religion, such as the many religious gods that created the universe and such. Furthermore, the weakest evidence, but still there, would be the non-canon movie that I'm sure wasn't turned out without any understanding of the characters and specifically its cosmology. Because in that movie with Yakumo, he showed to be universal as an A-class, when fully powered up, mind you. Like, is there even a point in scaling Prime Raizen with this? As was said later, the S-class demons hate being called S-class because they even have slaves who are weaker than trash within their ranks, and it's an insult to be labeled the same class as them, being considered the highest of gods, right? I mean, Prime Raizen could realistically be scaled to around universal, using the proper YuYu Hakusho scaling, but this could only in context make any sense because this is extremely hypothetical, with no supporting feats, of course, but does at least have proper scaling. But what it would require you to do is believe full-heartedly that he controlled or had the power to control the entirety of the demon world, aka said to be endless by Koenma, so basically the demon realm, right? Said to be endless and shown to be like endless in his depiction of it, that he could control like all of it. And that you are to believe or be convinced of the many statements throughout, such as A-classes being considered like the gods of religion and such. If you are convinced by these, then actually Prime Raizen may not sound too crazy to you. It might make some sense to you. Yomi and them, Makuro, perhaps that actually makes some sense to you. I mean, mathematically it makes sense, but the feats are so not there because the characters, again, there's a reason they're not really used in debates. They just don't have any feats, right? So that's where they can be brought up to. That's the three kings. Just wanted to make a quick little fun video. You can have them up to some ridiculous levels. I personally would only ever argue them to be large planetary, getting up to a majority percentage of the planet Saturn. Prime Raizen is just extra hypothetical. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It didn't take too long to turn out. I have a kid now. I don't know, maybe in the background you can hear them. He's not gonna say hi right now. So I've been busy. I've been really busy. But hopefully I can turn out some more videos here before too long. I'm wanting to address certain things like how Versus Wiki and other forums, actually Comic Vine, such like that, cover their scaling different things. But I know specifically I'm waiting on that. Versus Wiki happens to be doing like a move over to another server or something. And so you can't do, what is it? Basically, they're not wanting people to do, hey, this character should be stronger, like, reassess the power levels of people. They don't want to do any of that right now. So I'll probably wait till then so I can actually get a thread going and see what people say over at least just the base facts that I've brought out prior to this video. Of course, I'm not going to bring this up. And just see what they say, because if they accept it, cool, I'll cover that. That would be really crazy to see a site actually really go off of, I don't know, evidence, because man, a lot of them don't. But if they don't, well, I'll go over that as well, because that would also be interesting. I'd be interested to see in the logic, or how people dismiss, or how people accept different logic, because I know, of course, what I've covered is purely absolute. This is all hypothetical. I'm talking about prior, of course. But that said, yeah, stick around for future videos, and everyone have a good day. Like, comment, subscribe. Yes, that too. Almost forget. But yes, ciao.